My family tried to force an arranged marriage for business. I eloped. Now they're furious because I just sent them my wedding photo. I'm Zara, and I've been dating Logan for nearly 2 years. We met at our friend Andre's monthly game night, one of those informal get-togethers when everyone brings dollar store munchies and spends hours playing board games. My parents are traditional, not the wealthy sort of traditional with vacation houses and country club memberships, but the kind where dad works extra hours at his job and mom saves every penny at the grocery store. They've always had a family comes first attitude, which usually means whatever dad says goes. Logan and I have been keeping our relationship quiet around my family, not exactly hiding it, but not making a big issue either. He attends occasional family gatherings, delivers flowers to my mother, which she angrily places in the kitchen rather than the living room, and does his best to talk sports with my father, who usually simply grunts in response. Yesterday, I attended our customary Sunday supper. Everything appeared normal. Mom was preparing her famous pot roast, which she extended for the entire week. Dad was watching TV, and my sister Vera was texting on the couch. Then I observed that there were extra places arranged at the table. Who else is coming? I inquired while assisting Mom with the salad. Oh, Warren and Dexter are joining us, she replied. Warren is Dad's best friend from high school, and they work together. I scarcely know his son Dexter, other than he is 27 and also works with them. Dinner began normally enough. Warren arrived with Dexter, who was dressed in a button-up shirt still creased from the store. My mother kept offering him the nicest cuts of meat while giving me strange, meaningful glances. Vera kept kicking me beneath the table while enlarging her eyes, as if she knew something I didn't. Then, between the pot roast and Mom's box mix brownies, my father cleared his throat. Zara, Warren and I have been talking. I immediately felt a strange sensation in my gut, like if something horrible was about to happen. Dexter here is ready to settle down, Warren announced, beaming like he'd won the lotto. And we thought, what better match than our two families coming together? I almost choked on my water. What? It makes sense, my father said, not looking at me. Warren and I are expanding the business, and Dexter will eventually take over his father's role. You two would make a good match. I sat there, my fork frozen halfway to my mouth, as Dexter stared at his plate, looking about as relaxed as I was. The brownie in my mouth turned into sawdust. I'm dating Logan, I admitted, confirming what everyone at the table already knew. My mother waved her hand dismissively. Oh honey, that's just a young girl's fancy. We're talking about your future here. Your mother's right, Dad added. Logan's a nice enough kid, but he's not going anywhere. Dexter here has a real future in the business. I looked at Dexter, who was still fixated on his brownie. He hadn't spoken anything in the entire time. Warren was smirking as if he had just solved global hunger, and my parents were staring at me expectantly. This is insane, I stated. I'm not marrying Dexter. I love Logan. My father's face got somewhat purple. This isn't about love, Zara. This is about family and the future. As I walk towards the door, I hear my father say, you have until the end of the month to end things with that boy. We're announcing the engagement at Warren's birthday party. I didn't say anything else. I simply grabbed my crossbody bag and left. Logan was already waiting in his car, just around the bend. We had planned to go to Walmart after supper to get some items for his apartment. I climbed inside the car, my hand shaking as I attempted to buckle my seatbelt. That was yesterday. Today, my phone has been flooded with texts from my mother about being rational and thinking about the family. Vera sent me a series of WTF texts, followed by cautions that Dad is serious about this. Even my cousin, Ophelia, called to see whether it was true. Logan and I remained up late last night in his tiny studio apartment, discussing what to do. We had actually planned to move in together when his lease expires next month. Nothing extravagant, just a little 2-bedroom in the same building as his friend Andre. We've been saving money and keeping it quiet. Now I'm wondering if we should speed up those plans. I've silenced most of my family on my phone, but I can see the message count increasing. The only person I've responded to is Vera, who has promised not to tell anyone that I'm staying at Logan's tonight. I'm not sure what to do next. I adore my family, but this is insane, right? For example, the year is 2024, not 1825. Who even performs planned marriages anymore, especially for something as mundane as a business deal? I need advice. Logan is supportive, but says it's up to me. I just know one thing for certain, I will not marry Dexter, no matter what my father believes marriage will bring me. First update. First and foremost, I'd like to express my gratitude for the amazing response to my previous post. It's been 2 weeks since that bizarre Sunday dinner, and I'm writing this at 1 a.m., on Logan's couch, Stress eating dollar store cookies and trying to figure out how everything went so swiftly. Our water heater recently broke, and the landlord isn't responding to texts, so now seems like a good opportunity to update you all while I wait for the kettle to heat water for a sink shower. The day after my last post, I waited until my folks were at work before going home to fetch some necessities. I assumed I'd be in and out, but Vera was home ill from her community college studies. Between stuffing clothes into my duffel bag, she told me what I'd missed. It turns out that the entire thing is far trickier than I had anticipated. The truth emerged in parts. Warren's business is struggling, badly. Dad has also been anxious about money, as seen by the dripping kitchen faucet. This arranged marriage was more than simply some random traditional values thing. It was about merging enterprises. They want to leverage my father's contracts to protect Warren's company from falling under. Isn't it really romantic? Things became much more problematic when I realized that my parents had already paid a non-refundable deposit for a wedding location. They had scheduled it under the premise of Warren's birthday party, but it was clearly signed as an engagement celebration. My mother has been exhibiting the contract to everyone as proof that I cannot back out now. The location is a fancy converted barn that likely costs more than I earn in 3 months. Over the next 3 days, I received a continual stream of missed calls and emotional messages. My cousin Ophelia stopped by Logan's with some winter clothes she had borrowed and mentioned that my mother has been contacting everyone in the family, weeping about how I'm wasting my life. The family gossip mill is running overtime. Apparently, Dexter still lives in his parents' basement and spends the most of his time playing Fortnite. What a deal I'm missing out on. Work hasn't gone any better. My manager suddenly reduced my hours after my mother called the store, weeping about her troublesome daughter. I'm now rushing to get shift swaps just to cover my rent. Logan is coping with his own troubles. His car failed inspection, and the repairs would be more expensive than the car was worth. Our living situation is hard. Logan's studio apartment was not designed for 2 people. We're constantly walking over each other, and his downstairs neighbor continues complaining to the owner about the extra noise. My complete skincare routine is currently stored in the bathroom sink because there is literally no other place to put it. Last night, I discovered my mascara in the kitchen cupboard, next to the ramen noodles. That is the amount of organization we're dealing with here. The financial hardship is becoming real. Between my limited hours at work and unanticipated charges, who thought moving would necessitate so many random purchases? We are both feeling the squeeze. I started selling clothes on Poshmark to save money. Logan has been picking up odd gigs on TaskRabbit, but they barely cover the necessities. We've become specialists in extending groceries. Rice and beans have become close companions. The problem reached a new low when I ran into my folks at Walmart while discount shopping. What followed was a scene straight out of a lousy drama. Tears in the cereal aisle, allegations about family devotion, and vague threats about Warren selling to a major corporation. We just got our essentials and went, but Mom noticed the generic brand products in our cart and began crying even more about how I deserve better than this life. Today's new torment was learning that my parents have reportedly been saving for my wedding since I was born. Mom shared images of the wedding fund passbook, a not-so-subtle reminder of what I'm tossing away. The guilt trip included childhood images and a screenshot of current wedding venue prices. To make matters worse, our proposed flat fell through. The landlord decided to rent to his nephew instead, so we are back at square one. Logan's lease expires in 2 weeks, and finding an affordable place is proving more difficult than anticipated. His friend Andre gave us his spare room temporarily, but accepting feels like giving up, especially because Andre lives in his parents' garage and his mother still does his laundry. Logan has been extremely supportive, but I can tell he is also feeling the strain. Yesterday, I discovered him staring at ramen containers with a discouraged expression that wounded my heart slightly. The engagement of extended family members is the most problematic. My phone is constantly ringing with texts from relatives I rarely see, all experts on why I'm making a horrible mistake. Vera keeps me up to date on things at home. Dad appears to be considering removing me from his will, which would be more concerning if there was anything to inherit. When I find myself doubting, I glance at Logan, perhaps playing Wordle on his phone or humming while washing dishes, and know I can't give in. We are not a business merger. We are people. This is our lives. Even if we're currently sharing a single bath towel because we neglected to grab mine during the Great Escape, we're taking it day by day, looking for apartments during lunch breaks, blocking new numbers as they appear, and figuring out our next move. We still have each other, even if our current date nights consist of comparing property ads over microwave ramen. Second update. Hello Reddit. Some of you may remember me from my earlier post about my parents attempting to arrange my marriage to my father's best friend's son Dexter. A lot has happened in the last week, and I'm writing this from a motel room that costs $45 a night, eating leftover pizza, and still wearing the $30 Amazon outfit. It wasn't the wedding I envisioned as a child, but honestly, it was perfect in its own unusual manner. The idea to elope occurred after I discovered that my parents had already begun sending out pre-engagement party invitations to the luxury farm site they had reserved. My sister Vera sent me a photograph of the invitation. They had already decided on my future wedding name and everything. That was the last straw. Logan and I had already discussed marriage, especially since we had been living together for a few weeks. One night, while eating a bowl of microwave mac and cheese and staring out the window at our neighbor's cat, we've named her Princess despite the fact that she's not ours, we just knew. We scheduled it for a random Tuesday, not because it was special, but because we both had the day off work and the courthouse was open. Logan's friend Andre, not my father's friend, thank God, agreed to be our witness. I purchased a modest white dress from Amazon that actually looked better in photos, and Logan wore his one excellent button-down shirt, the one without wrinkles. Everything that could have gone wrong on the morning of happened. The zipper on my dress became caught. Logan's automobile made that strange noise again and would not start. We had to take an Uber to the courts and divide the cost 3 ways with Andre because we were all penniless. The driver continued wondering why we were dressed up, and we simply explained that we had a court appointment. Technically correct, right? The ceremony itself lasted maybe 10 minutes. The clerk was having her lunch as she processed our paperwork, and there was a man in the corner feverishly filling out jury service forms. Not quite romantic, but we couldn't stop smiling like idiots. Andre took photos with his phone. Most of the pictures are blurry, but there's one decent one in which Logan and I are just looking at each other and laughing because I almost dropped the $12 ring we received. We celebrated at the diner around the corner, sharing a plate of fries and a milkshake because that was all we had left from our wedding budget. Andre insisted on paying for his own coffee, claiming it was a wedding gift to us. When the waitress found out we had recently married, she handed us a free pie. This was the first bit of wedding luck we got all day. Then came the hard part. Telling people. We decided to do it with a simple Instagram post, just one good photo Andre took, with a casual caption. So, we did a thing. Ophelia responded first, sending a stream of heart emoticons. Then Vera called, both laughing and weeping. She was thrilled for us, but concerned about the consequences. She was right to be. My mother saw the post while at the grocery store. I know this because she contacted me from the parking lot, sobbing so hard that the cart attendant inquired if she required assistance. She kept claiming she would never be able to attend church again. How could you do this to our family? How about the venue deposit? Dad's reply came through Vera. He reportedly tossed his phone across the room when he saw the post. Warren, his best friend, quickly drove over to their house. Surprisingly, Dexter liked our Instagram picture and remarked, "Congratulations." Which most likely exacerbated the situation. The extended family's reaction has been mixed, shocked Facebook messages, angry texts, and a few quiet congrats. My cousin even included me in a TikTok about ungrateful children. Really mature. We're now staying at this motel because our apartment application is still being processed, and Logan's lease expired yesterday. The room smells like old cigarettes, and the Wi-Fi frequently fails, yet it's our first home as a married couple. We've been making the most of our time by watching weird YouTube videos on Logan's phone and eating inexpensive takeout. Then the wedding venue called. It turns out that my parents attempted to cancel my engagement party but still lost the money. They're supposedly telling everyone that I forced them to book it, which is an interesting take of events. Money is still scarce. We're both working extra shifts when we can, and I'm selling more items on Poshmark. The apartment we applied for is not fancy. It's a ground floor, 1 bedroom with an unusual layout and no dishwasher, but it would be ours. The leasing agency stated they will notify us by Friday. Vera has been our primary source of news from home. Mom seemed to have already redecorated my previous room, taking down all of my photos and everything. Dad is informing everyone at work that I am going through a phase. Warren's wife is constantly trying to set up a family gathering to fix things. The most unusual reaction came from Dexter himself. He sent me a DM claiming he's relieved because he can finally tell his father about his girlfriend. They've been dating for almost a year, and she's not only a streamer, but also a single mother. Warren would certainly not approve. Logan and I are taking things day by day. Sometimes I wake up in a panic about everything we've done. Logan occasionally makes me chuckle, such as when he attempted to cook ramen in our hotel room's coffee machine. I remember why I selected this. It is not ideal. But this is ours. Third update. Sometimes the truth arrives in the most unexpected ways. In my instance, it came from a stack of water-damaged papers I discovered while assisting Vera in cleaning out our flooded basement following last week's storm. The basement incident occurred when Vera asked for assistance. Mom and Dad were at a church function, and she was worried about water getting in. Logan and I drove there to help preserve whatever we could. While shifting boxes to a higher level, I discovered Dad's old filing cabinet had turned over, spilling documents everywhere, most of which were drenched. As we went over what may be saved, I noticed something interesting. Loan papers. There are a lot of them. All with Warren's signature and my father as guarantee. The dates went back years. Small loans at first. Then larger ones. The most recent? From shortly before the whole marriage disaster began. Some had final notice stamps. Others had payment plans with missing checkmarks. It was like seeing a chronology of Warren's firm gradually falling. But this is when things get crazy. Mixed up with the loan papers were printed correspondence between Dad and a large development company. They wanted to buy both businesses, Dad's and Warren's, but only as a package deal. The offer was genuinely reasonable, enough to cover all of the debts and then some. Is there a catch? They sought confirmation of consistent succession planning. Essentially, they would not buy until they were confident that the businesses would remain together in the long run. That's where Dexter and I stepped in. We were the ideal solution for demonstrating that the businesses will continue to be controlled by families for many years. While we were still digesting this, Vera discovered other papers. Warren had been disguising how horrible things were from everyone, including his own wife. He had mortgaged their home twice without informing her. My father had co-signed everything, probably hoping Warren would turn things around soon. Then came the real kicker, a draft contract dated shortly before the whole marriage proposal saga. Warren had already begun selling off equipment to make payments. Dad was about to lose all he had worked for over 20 years because he trusted his best friend. I photographed everything before the water destroyed it totally and forwarded them to Dexter. He deserved to know. How did he respond? Well, that explains the rush. Apparently, his father had been pressuring him to settle down for months, even attempting to break up with his girlfriend. The next day, Ophelia came over to our flat with housewarming ramen, because that's what we do now. She had more tea. Warren's wife learned about the second mortgage and moved in with her sister. Dexter finally told everyone about his girlfriend and her child, then moved in with them. Warren? He's staying with his brother, presumably to give his wife some space. However, she most likely changed the locks. Dad still won't speak to me directly, but he started asking Vera strange questions about my new home. If I eat enough? That type of thing. Mom went from angry Facebook rants to sharing missing my daughter memes, which I suppose is an improvement. Yesterday, Warren texted me. Only 2 words. I'm sorry. I have not yet responded. Not sure if I will. Logan has been incredible during all of this. He doesn't say much about it, just embraces me when I need it and cracks bad jokes when I get too serious. Last night, he attempted to lighten the situation by suggesting that we start our own business. But something simple, he replied. Maybe selling those little hats for cats online. We are doing okay. The apartment is slowly coming together. We discovered an actual bed frame on Facebook Marketplace yesterday. Our upstairs neighbor's child practices trumpet at 7 a.m. every day, but we're getting accustomed to it. I'm picking up extra shifts at work, and Logan has started doing food delivery on weekends. It isn't flashy, but the bills are being paid. Vera claims Dad has been spending a lot of time in his garage lately. Probably trying to decide what to do next. When the deal failed, the development business withdrew its offer. She overheard Mom telling a friend on the phone that they might have to sell their house, which they'd lived in since before I was born. Part of me feels guilty, even though I know it's not my fault. Another part is furious that they attempted to utilize my life to solve their business difficulties. Mostly, I'm simply tired of the whole affair. Last update. I wasn't planning on posting again, but I just had the most weird Thanksgiving experience, and I thought you'd be interested in hearing how things turned out after the whole arranged marriage drama. First and foremost, Logan and I are still in our small apartment. We now have a solid bed frame. Goodbye, air mattress. The neighbor's son has progressed from trumpet to drums. Progress. What's the upside? We discovered that our other neighbor works at a furniture outlet, so we got a slightly damaged couch for almost nothing. It has a strange stain that resembles Danny DeVito if you squint, but it's comfortable. The biggest alteration occurred roughly 2 months ago. Mom began sending strange thinking of you texts, generally late at night while she was viewing weeping videos on Facebook. She then asked if we could meet for coffee. I agreed, mainly because I was tired of avoiding her at the grocery store. We met in the cafe where Logan and I celebrated our wedding reception. She cried into her coffee. I nervously stirred the tea. And somehow we ended up having a real chat. It turns out that Dad's business survived. Barely. They needed to shrink, sell some equipment, and relocate to a smaller office. Nonetheless, they are getting by. Warren's company wasn't as fortunate. Speaking of Warren, he and his wife have formally separated. Finally, she received the house. Remember those secret mortgages? He's still living with his brother, who has apparently begun charging him rent. Dexter is doing pretty well. He moved in with his fiancée and her child, started broadcasting on Twitch, and now makes a respectable living doing so. His mother informed my mother that he appears happier than he has been in years. He and Logan occasionally play games together. Which is strange. But that was kind of wonderful. Dad took a while to come around. The breakthrough occurred when our automobile broke down again. This item is currently held together by hope and duct tape. Logan was fixing it in the apartment parking lot when Dad arrived. Vera mentioned it to Mom, who then mentioned it to Dad. He didn't speak much. I just started assisting with the car. Now they have this strange habit of texting each other car maintenance videos. Dad still rarely speaks to me personally, but he will give Logan links to vehicle components for sale. Baby steps, I suppose. Thanksgiving was the real test. Mom had been hinting for weeks that we should visit. I was concerned, but Logan explained that free food is free food. We were still on a tight budget, so we went. It was awkward. South awkward. Aunt Alice continued to make sharp remarks about unconventional life choices. Uncle Bob pretended we weren't present. However, Vera and Ophelia handled the situation admirably. Mom actually hung our wedding photo on the mantel, right next to that terrible school picture of me from 7th grade with the braces and butterfly clips. What about the surprise guest? Warren's ex-wife. Apparently, she and Mom are still friends. She brought this delicious sweet potato casserole and spent the majority of supper telling everyone about her journey of self-discovery and new pastime. Dad seemed to want to dissolve into his mashed potatoes. What's the true highlight? Cousin Andre, not Logan's pal Andre, keep up, has announced his engagement. Everyone quickly began arranging this massive wedding, discussing venues, flowers, and other details. Mom caught my eye across the table and winked. Progress. Our flat is still small, but we have made it home. The ring finally stained my finger green, but I actually enjoyed it. It fits our aesthetic. Logan's car is still making that noise, but we are saving money for a new one. Slowly. Very slow. Work is work. Nothing spectacular, but we are both getting by. Logan began taking online computer science courses. I'm thinking about it too. But for now, I'm just trying to pick up more shifts wherever I can. Vera comes over frequently, typically with food from Mom. I believe she occasionally acts as Mom's spy, reporting back on whether our apartment is clean or if we are eating vegetables. But she also spreads rumors about Warren and Dexter. Apparently, Dexter's girlfriend's child now addresses him as Papa. Life is not perfect, but we are getting there.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.